the Association of Catholic Mental Health Ministers. I'm so glad that so many of you have joined us this afternoon for this monthly webinar. It's one in a continuing series we've been doing the last few months, and certainly plan on continuing to support those of you that are involved with mental health ministry. We want to give you the skills and the tools and the training to be successful in your ministry, and to also help the folks that are partnering with you in the ministry to have the confidence to do this, because as we've all found out, people are nervous about this ministry, not sure if they can do this. And that's what we're doing today. This training today that will be presented by Jermaine Alberti, who I'll introduce in a second, is what's called Companionship training. It's a shorter training program of about 3 hours or so, and it helps to give people the confidence to companion folks that are living with mental illnesses and mental health challenges and other challenges in their life. So it's a nice, relatively short training program that can help build up people's confidence. But as always, I'd like to start with a prayer. Many of you may be familiar with the prayer cards that we offer through the ministry. This prayer is to St. John of God. So we'll begin in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. St. John of God, you understand and witness the difficulties of living with a mental illness. You lived in the darkness but found hope. You wrote, when you feel depressed, have recourse to the passion of Jesus Christ our Lord and his precious wounds, and you will feel great consolation. Lord our God, grant courage to those for whom we pray and fill them with hope. If it is according to your divine will, grant them the recovery and cure they desire. Help them to remember you love them, they are never alone. St. John of God, patron of those with a mental illness, pray for us. So we're joined today, our presenter today is the Reverend Jermaine Alberti from a group that I serve on the board of directors with Pathways to Promise. Jermaine, his bio is that he has 25 years experience serving in nonprofit faith communities, mental health, and various other positions in the field as an educator and trainer. He's a national trainer for Mental Health First Aid USA, and he's also currently the executive director of Pathways to Promise, and he's a former senior pastor of Bethel Baptist Church. He holds a bachelor's and master's of divinity degrees. And he's going to be presenting the Companionship training program that Pathways to Promise has been offering for a couple years. And similar to what Sanctuary offers, we had that seminar 2 months ago with Brianna Russo from Sanctuary. We've worked with Jermaine to also offer a Pathways to Promise companionship training program for Catholics, and it incorporates a lot of Catholic teaching into this program, although companionship is a basic Christian and even just a human sort of activity that we all participate in, but we've also worked into some important and relevant Catholic teaching into this. So I'll turn this over to you, Jermaine, and I'm sure all of you will find this very interesting. Thanks, Jermaine.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here with you all. Sometimes using the blurred background can be a benefit, and at times it's like you're just floating out there in the air. So I think I'm gonna get rid of that so it won't be a distraction. It's so good to be here with everyone here. I'm gonna share a PowerPoint just to guide our time together. So we're going to be talking about companionship here. I'm going to make sure that you all can see here. So notice here in our first slide here, this truly is a partnership between Pathways to Promise and the Association of Catholic Mental Health Ministers. Dick and Ed has served on the board of directors of Pathways to Promise, and we're so grateful for this partnership between our two organizations. Today, I'm going to look at two of the primary goals of companionship, as well as introduce you to the 5 practices of companionship. And so that's going to be our goal for our time together. Some of the goals of companionship is, notice here, the first thing is that we want to move toward increasing mutuality in relationship. We're moving from this transactional way that we do ministry to a more relational engagement outreach model. And what mutuality is all about is about deepening the authentic relationship between the two individuals. But also, not only that, when a person finds themselves in distress or suffering or isolation, how does that person increase personal responsibility for their recovery, for their healing? Also, one of the things that we also are attempting to do is also help folks expand what we call a circle of care, a circle of support. And that often involves that person renewing relationships, whether that be with family, whether it be with neighborhoods. But the goal is to have that person grow in social life and community participation. Often when a person is dealing with mental health challenges or addiction challenges or other challenges in life, those circles begin to break down. And so companions assist individuals in restoring those circles of support. This model was founded by Reverend Craig Rennebaum back in 1987. And so companionship is about as old as Pathways is. Pathways was founded in 1988. And Craig started this work when he was working with persons who was houseless or homeless and dealing with serious mental illness. And so this model was designed to provide this practical and principled response. And that response is for those persons who may be isolated, who may be suffering, who may be in distress, who may be having some kind of difficulty. And so companions come alongside those individuals. And we're guided by these 5 principles, which are rooted in dignity, agency, and mutuality. Notice here, the first one is that companionship is an essential relationship between 2 human beings. So we see each other as equals. And it's our humanity that causes us to see each other as equal. Once again, it's a response. So it's a relationship and it's a response to those people who are in isolation or who are in distress. And this is a really key thing. It is a public relationship. It's not private. It's not case management. Companionship is meant to be done in community. And it springs from this belief in mutuality between 2 individuals, which we defined earlier, and also this need for a circle of care and support. So what we believe in the companionship movement is that it is just our natural capacity as human beings that when we see somebody in distress, suffering, isolated, that sensitivity and that compassion, that concern bubbles up. And we have a desire to support, a desire to help, a desire to welcome the stranger. And so this natural response is our effort to try to support that person who needs healing, who needs recovery. So what happens is oftentimes we see somebody who is isolated, who's distressed, who's suffering, and we notice that. And then we can choose to make a connection. So what you see is broken lines in the middle where there is no connection, but a solid line here in this next illustration where there is a connection. And what you also see is in the third illustration, these different circles surrounding that person. That is that circle of support, whether it be community, whether it be a faith community, whether it be social services, whatever the needs the person has, is there supporting that individual. But the last part of this illustration is where you see that support for both. And that's because companions need companions also. Companionship is meant to be done, once again, in community. So this is not something that you do separate and apart from community, but you do it within parish. It could be a work that's done within the diocese, but it's not intended to be done individually or on one's own, but together. So let's say you notice somebody in distress. How would you support that person? I'm going to share with you a brief video that I think you might be very familiar with. And at the end of the video, I want you to think about how did a person respond and show that they were the person's neighbor. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this video here. So I hope you enjoyed that brief little video there, because what it modeled for us was the model of the model of companionship. Notice here, there was someone in distress and there were several people who had awareness. But as a companion, you do have a choice to decide whether you engage or don't engage, or how you engage. And there are various reasons why those persons may not have engaged. And we don't want to consider them bad people because they didn't engage. They had their own limit. They had their own boundary. But there was one who did engage. What I love about it is that he took everything out of his basket, out of his little wagon, if you would, and put it to the side and put the man in the wagon and took to get him some help. So he provided the aid that he could. And that was to get him to some partners who could actually provide more assistance, to go to the hospital. And then if you notice, he chose to maintain connection with this gentleman by reading to him. And so the story is just that. It is the story of the Good Samaritan. However, in companionship, we don't use the word good simply because it's a judgment call of saying those who don't help are not good. And the reality is this, is that the story is more about who extends compassion, who is the neighbor. And so what's important here is that this is rooted. Companionship, once again, is defined as a relationship responsive to suffering. Companionship is also a relationship supportive of recovery and wellness. And as I've said before, and we'll say it over and over again, it is a public relationship. And so you notice that from that parable of the neighbor, how the neighbor came to the aid of the one who was in distress. And so what we talk about in companionship are 5 practices. I'm going to review those quickly because we are looking forward to offering the full course to those of you who are interested in the full course. And we're even partnering to offer an opportunity for persons to become instructors to teach this course. So when we talk about hospitality, our ultimate aim here is to create a safe space with the other person. Treat that person with respect and with dignity, and also to see that person's worth as a human being. Hospitality also can be offering refreshment, nourishment, a time and a place of rest. Really, is how we entreat the other. How do we create that welcoming space in our parishes, in our congregations? How do we ensure that people feel welcome, that it's a safe space? Another thing we want to do as we talk about the second practice of neighboring is ensure that when a person is invited, that we create a frameless relationship, meaning one in which persons are not judged by titles or positions, but one where individuals are able to simply just come and be who they are. And sometimes when we encounter folks, we may ask them, what's your name? We may just want to ask that question, hey, what would you like to be called? Hey, my name is Jermaine. What would you like for me to call you? Starting with something we have in common versus what school did you graduate from, or how many kids do you have, or are you married? But simply creating that frameless relationship where we meet each other where we are. The other practice in companionship is learning how to share that journey side by side. And this can be simply making sure that we're not trying to push a person or tell them where to go, but to stand with them, to be with them side by side. That is important because we want to walk together with them on this journey of healing and recovery. And as we walk with them, we want to be listening to their story. We know that everyone has a past, a present, and a future. And oftentimes when people are telling a story about their past, we can't change their past, but we can help them where they are presently. And the future, we can't predict. So our goal is to listen to where they are in that now and to assist them in that present moment. And while we do that, we have to acknowledge that we have limits and we have boundaries, and we want to honor those. So as we accompany that person, we're letting them know that they're not alone, that we're present with them. And as we accompany that person, what we know is that it is better for us to do it in community, because their need for charity is an opportunity for community. Their emergency is an opportunity for community. So as they name their needs, we consult, we confirm, we refer, and we work with partners and other persons who help form that circle of care for the person. And we may go with, or we may hold the person in our thoughts and our prayers. So it doesn't mean you always are going with them to a doctor appointment or assisting them in all things. It could be simply that you are with that person and you're saying to them, listen, if you have need, let me know, and we'll connect with others to help that come to pass. This is why we've said over and over and over again, companionship is done in community. And we encourage you to have what is called companionship team meetings. That could be an hour within the week where you come together, you light a candle, you have prayer, you read scripture, you share what you're experiencing, you discern, but companionship is meant to be done in community. And so we want to invite you to go to the companionshipmovement.org website to learn more about companionship. We also want to thank the Association for Catholic Mental Health Ministers for hosting this webinar with us. And what we want to do is we want to present to you an opportunity by way of the association, if you're interested in learning how to become an instructor, because the association actually has scholarship, the opportunity to offer 10 scholarships. And so if you're interested in becoming an instructor of this training, we want to invite you to consider applying. I'm going to put in the chat feed the application link. And so I'm going to send this to all of you all, and feel free to use that link in order to apply to become an instructor. And also I'm going to put in the chat feed just the link to the companionship movement itself. We're going to be offering a workshop on May the 19th. And so if you're interested in learning more about companionship by way of attending that workshop, we'll be happy to send you more information about that on May 19th. And the training itself is going to be on June 17th through the 18th. That's a Friday and a Saturday. So that's all I have for you. I set aside about 10 minutes for a Q&A. So feel free to send questions to Kate and we'll be happy to answer those.
Thanks, Jermaine. This is Ed. Before we get into the questions, I thought maybe it'd be helpful to maybe pull this out a little bit more for the folks that are listening. Could you describe one or two faith communities that have gone forward with the companionship training and what it looks like and what it's done for their communities? We have a few minutes yet, so spend a couple minutes describing what it looks like in a faith community.
Absolutely. So Pathways has been so fortunate to partner with NAMI St. Louis and NAMI San Antonio. And we have worked with faith communities to implement companionship as part of a broader training program that includes mental health first aid, suicide prevention, trauma-informed congregations. So we've partnered with these NAMI affiliates and these faith communities to integrate a much broader training program that includes companionship and many other trainings. As a result of that, congregations have created wellness programs or wellness ministries in order to support individuals and families with mental illness. And so companionship is being used as an anchor training program to help equip those persons to deal with that stigma that surrounds mental health challenges and create welcoming, supportive environments for those individuals and their families.
Thank you. We have a question that came in that is asking how long the training will last. How long is it?
Great. So the training can be offered both virtually and in person, and typically it lasts between 3 to 4 hours. So the workshop is 3 to 4 hours.
Anybody else has any additional questions, feel free to use the Q&A feature or put them in the chat.
And the training, Jermaine, for those of us that will be trained to offer the training. So at the association here, if anyone's interested that's listening, you'll have a program in June where you would train people to offer the training. So do you want, I know that takes more time. Do you want to explain that a little bit, what that would be about?
Absolutely. You were reading my mind. I was going to say that next. So it was great. We're on the same page. Yeah. So the training in June is going to be Friday, June 17th and Saturday, June the 18th. And we'll meet from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock Central Time on that Friday for 3 hours. And then on that Saturday, we'll meet from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time on that Saturday. Now, typically, we may not use that full time on Saturday, but we want to rather have more time than have less time. And on that Saturday, people do what we call a teach back, when they teach back a portion of the curriculum. And then we also give them all the tools they need to implement the companionship movement within their parish. Friday, June 17th, Saturday, June the 18th. And once you apply, we'll get all that information to individuals.
And what they get, because I went through this, you get the manual to be the trainer, to be the facilitator, and then the folks that take the class get what do you call I guess their own participant guide.
Yes. Huh? Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll provide you instructor teaching notes as well as a guidebook. The trainer is $850, but thankfully, the association is going to scholarship at least 10 spots there. So we are grateful for that.
Yeah, if anybody wants to, that's a member of the association, wants to take this Train the Trainer course and is in a position to be able to offer the training to their parishes and beyond within your diocese or within your area, that's who we'd be thrilled to be able to fund that and offer scholarships to take this training. So like I said earlier, this is really a program that helps people build the confidence to offer this ministry, and form these mental health ministry teams. You call them what, companionship teams, I think?
Yeah, companionship teams, mental health ministry teams.
Yeah. We call them mental health ministry teams, but it's the same idea, to form a group of parishioners who are comfortable doing this and have the confidence to do this, and that can come together and form a community that supports people. So yeah, if you know anybody that wants to do this training, we're more than happy to provide the scholarship.
Now, the question is about how does somebody identify as a companion? Do they come forward, request companionship? Oftentimes, so if you see somebody in distress within your parish, or somebody who's isolated, or somebody who may be experiencing some kind of form of suffering and so forth, as a companion, you may identify that person and just ask them, are they okay? And can you provide assistance? And the relationship will develop naturally. And you will know what kind of support that person may need by what they tell you. And so it could be that the pastor or the priest say, Jermaine is dealing with some illness, and he just needs somebody to walk with him on that journey. Would you mind walking with Jermaine? You come to me and say, hey, Father, I'm going to use Ed's name, Father Ed. Father Ed said that you needed some support. Would you like for me to walk with you? If they say yes, then walk with them. Once again, it's done within community. And so persons know that you're walking alongside Jermaine. It's not a secret. So it's not case management, but it is that. So
We have 6 other questions coming in. The first one is, will there be other opportunities for the Train the Trainer program if those June dates are not feasible for someone's schedule?
yes. So we will offer more than one offering if it's one of those things where we'll try to accommodate the majority. But if it turns out that we have more that flows over, we most definitely will offer another date.
The other one is, are the materials available in Spanish?
Working on it. I'm working with a
Okay.
chaplain in Indiana right now to do that. And we hope to have that modeled by summer.
Good. The other one is there a training for teens to be companions?
We're working on that also. Working with a group out of Greenville, Illinois. We've written a grant to try to offer this a youth model. So we're working on that too.
All right. Another one is, since companionship is meant to be done in community, how much one-on-one time is recommended, like accompanying to appointments?
Yeah. So once again, that person is really guiding where they need your support. And so, if they say, I need to see my psychiatrist, but I just don't want to do that. Would you go with me? Then you have limits and boundaries you can set. You can say, yeah, sure, I'll go with you. So really it's how much time the person may need and how much you can actually give. And so there's going to be that mutuality, that even exchange, hopefully, between the persons.
Are there any prerequisites to be eligible for the scholarship?
Right now, being part of the association is what I heard Deacon Ed say.
Yeah, being part of the association and being in a position to be able to, we have the application form. I think part of the application form is to make it clear that you're in a position to be able to offer this within your faith community, within your parish. So those would be the 2 main things, that you're a member of the association and you're in a position to be able to offer this to others, to train people within your community.
And then the final question we have is, can you speak more about companionship team meetings?
Yeah, that's great. So the companionship team meeting is based upon the principle that companions and companions also. And so that would be an opportunity. So if you had a mental health ministry, it would be the same as the mental health ministry meeting, just to discuss what persons are experiencing with companioning, what needs persons may have. And so it's an opportunity for us in community to come together to support one another.
But I think, Jermaine, perhaps, at least the question that pops in my mind when this question was asked, it's for the members of the companionship team to get together and kind of support each other and discuss what's going on.
Mhm.
It's not for the people that we are companioning to come for a
Right.
spiritual support group meeting or anything like that. This is for the team itself to get together, and because those of us that are involved in this ministry, we all well know that this can be a difficult ministry, and to be able to support each other is an important part of what we do in this ministry too. So those separate spiritual support group meetings or other things would be different types of meetings than this meeting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then we did get 2 more questions coming in. The first one, is there a fee for the companionship training, not the Train the Trainer program, but the other training?
Yeah, so the only fixed cost that we have is a $16 guidebook. Other than that, you charge whatever you want to charge. So that's the only fixed rate.
And then the final question that we have for today is, they're not seeing the May 19th date on the website for the program. So where can they find that workshop for the May 19th that you mentioned?
We will send out an email.
Okay.
And you can send it out to those who are intended. We'll send it out to them with a registration link.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I think that's all the questions we have.
And just to clarify, Adam says that trainer training is to be able to teach companionship trainings. Yes, yes. So once you get trained as an instructor, then you can do the workshop. Yes.
Great. Well, I think that's it. Thank you for joining us today. And all the information that was shared here, as well as recording, will be sent out to all of you. So you can refer back to the recording for more answers.
And just to be clear, Kate, on how folks apply for the, if they want to take the course, can you just go over that one more time before we leave here, or Jermaine?
Yep. So once again, in the chat feed, I'm placing a link again for the application. So go ahead and click that link, and then that's how you apply.
And then that'll be in the,
once we get your application, we'll talk with the association.
and that'll be in, and that'll be in the follow-up email too, to everyone, that link. Okay. Great.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, thank
Well,
you.
thank everyone. Our next, we'll have a webinar again next month. It'll be oriented towards, at a diocesan level, Dick Collier and the folks from the Diocese of San Francisco will be presenting on how they started their ministry at a diocesan level. And it's now, I think, in about a dozen or so parishes within the Archdiocese of San Francisco. So that'll be we'll be sending out emails and correspondence on that, but that's what'll be coming up next month. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.